The links, join channel, come member here over at Subscribe Star. I got a mailbox. You want to mail me a comic? Doesn't it seem weird that movies, streaming shows, video games, even comics are pushing things that very few people are on board with? And to the extent that it's even costing these companies money. I mean, Disney's a great example. Wish, an animation, $200 million animation, or the Marvels with Brie Larson, or honestly, I think out of the past dozen movies, something like 10 of them lost money, or maybe Little Mermaid's just gonna break even. Doesn't that seem weird? Like they all kind of seem to be going in the same direction, but it's not. They're not taking the audience along with them, and it just seems like not enough people are kind of stepping back and going, wait a minute, these are publicly traded companies. The way you're acting is doesn't make sense. It's like you're all taking some crazy pills. You're all going in the same direction. If it's a publicly traded company, we want a return on our investment. We don't want you to push these globalist themes that are just not selling to an audience. Not enough people do that. It's weird. Anyway, so video game. What did Sam Hyde say? State enforced homosexuality. Well, I mean, in commercial zone countries that used to be nations, the difference between the state and an NGO is pretty slippery. It just kind of morphs from one into the other. The thing is, what if people don't want all this BLT stuff in the video games? Well, lucky for you, some 4chan computer dude comes along and makes a mod. I think he call it the anti-alphabet mod. Might be a little bit on the nose. Where you can wash away all this propaganda, and thus everyone is satisfied, except for the soy boys and the cat ladies, because they're not satisfied about anything, because they need a constant state of conflict. It's kind of the bullshit theory that they need to constantly grow the tall grass so the snakes can slither around. It's a first world problem thing where they have to make something up to virtue signal about, because they just don't, either they don't have enough real issues to focus on. No, it's not a fad, it's not a phase. Yeah, it is. Every generation went through this. I will say that this is the darkest period in what they're doing to kids in the West in terms of phases and fads. What's going on right now? I don't think there's anything worse than removing the offspring's ability to procreate and pass on genes. That's just about the most satanic, just blackest of black pills I've ever seen. Though there are the white pills are alt social media. So they make up these disorders and identities. Then they go on social media and talk about all this straight oppression for the cis heteronormative. Dang you, George Bush and Trump, for their imaginary nonsense. It's obviously it's all based on nonsense. It's all a social contagion, a mass psychosis propagated by social media, mostly nucleated by sometimes the media themselves, the people who are writing for the media, or university professors who are, they're all on the same page. None of it is real, and for some reason, the video game companies are happy to go along with this woke cancer. At one time, they weren't. But now it seems like more and more of the entertainment companies are kind of falling in line, as if there's some external control outside and above them who are shaping these forces. So the video game companies, and of course the movies and streaming and comics and whatever else, they're pushing globalist propaganda, and as long as you continue to support them by buying their product, it's going to continue. And you don't actually need the mental soy slop. You can read books. You don't have to read paper books if you want to be fancy. You can read them on tablets and phones. Or you can be an istophobic Chad poop lord and make subscribe to our videos talking about all this kind of stuff, or you can be a little bit more honest over there. So the not so subtle messaging is that these BLT warriors can dress like men and go on all these male adventures. The message is that women can do all these male things, which of course is nonsense. They're meant to be wives and mothers. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. It's like people have their biological roles. Nature assigned them. It's not istophobic. It's just the way of the world. Do you want to pass on those genes to the next generation? And that's kind of what the first world is discovering. People really don't want to have kids when there are options available, because it's too much freedom. Yeah, basically. The thing is, in a commercial zone country, these degenerate companies can push any propaganda they want. The message is that women don't need men at all. And I mean, having kids, getting married, having kids is a lot of work. it is what it is. If you have options, like people will take the softer, gentler path. I was like, isn't that just like the destruction of civilization? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. It's kind of a self-selecting, self-induced genocide. So they can engage in these high-risk activities and they don't need to worry about making babies. In fact, men are so unnecessary that her mission in the game is to go rescue her girlfriend so they can fight about whose turn it is to not make sandwiches. So some Chad Poop Lord comes along and fixes the game. It's not fixing it, you Hugo Boss, by removing the degeneracy, and the soy boys and cat ladies or outraged on social media, or at least they pretend to be. So the thing is, more people need to see this propaganda for what it is, the globalist agenda to lower birth rates for people who look like you. These, honestly, a lot of it's like that Stephen King book series, Book 7 in the Dark Tower series, where he explains the people who are breaking the beams that hold the space-time together. They just need to destroy to see what comes after it. So these aren't just harmless video games or movies or streaming shows. It's toxic WEF-level New World Order demonic parasites who are pushing this. More people need to really see what themes are being promoted here. Everything they do is to promote the destruction of order, the family, the nation, to push the bullshit found family concept because rootless people are easily enslaved. The thing is, the agenda is really not that deep. It's a lot of it is right out in the open. You just have to have a calm moment to make these connections and talk to other people about it. And the white pill is that we do have alt social media to point it all out, and you're not really going to be able to go into detail on YouTube. I mean, I whistle as much as I can, but BitChute, Odyssey, Gab TV allow a full and frank discussion, especially Gab TV, because Google is part of the reptile agenda. Look carefully at what is being promoted across entertainment. And then take the next step and ask, well, how does this message being broadcast affect all receivers? Does it resonate equally? Or does it seem like there are wavelengths that pass through certain people and resonate with other people because they have different type of antennas, where the message seems global, broad, but different people resonate with it differently? It doesn't seem like they're really trying to destroy everything and everyone, just kind of specific targets. By now you have to see that there's a global network under the surface that seems like it's pushing all this kind of stuff, but they don't want you noticing the connections. And the thing is, it's not that hidden. You just have to turn off the distractions for a bit and stop and think about what's going on. And, a lot of it is kind of getting over an internal boundary, internal hurdle of thinking, wait, are you saying like these $100 billion companies are engaging in cult-like behavior? I thought cults were small. What would prevent them from scaling up? If the people who are at the, the leaders of the company, the CEOs and whatnot, and the majority shareholders, if they had those cult-like beliefs, then you could scale it up to the $153 billion Disney type of company, or Amazon, or Netflix, or Cartoon Network. Because clearly you can see some themes, and they're all kind of going in this direction. But you got to turn off distractions to really focus on this kind of stuff. And the thing that will help you get over that hurdle of that boundary, to get past that, to break on through to the next level of understanding, is that the companies, and Disney's a great example, are making movies that are not selling, and they're spending a lot of money to make these movies, and they're losing a respectable amount of change. In fact, they're re-releasing a bunch of the movies that lost, like the Panda movie, I guess had limited release. I'm gonna have to look into that, and it lost over $160 million, and they try to re-release these movies. Good luck. It's not gonna hurt them because they've already lost money on it. They're already in a negative. But the thing is, nobody wants the themes that video games and entertainment companies and movies are pushing, and yet they still make them even when it costs them money. That should have you really scratching your head. But it's just like there's these boundaries that are in people's mental state, their psychosis, because they have this multi-generational brainwashing to make you look. It's like the They Live glasses, to make you look at everything but the reality. And the Conan Doyle thing about once you've excluded every other possibility, you have to look at what's left with real interest, because it seems like that's your solution's going to lie in the thing that is possible, even if it seems counterintuitive. Way to butcher that quote, buddy. It's been a while since I read the books. And the thing is, they still push these themes that cost them money. It's like somebody else is pulling the strings on them. It almost seems like somebody's blackmailing them in some kind of, like Island Paradise hidden camera type of thing, or something like that, or controlling their minds or something. It seems like there's something else going on, and I wish more people were kind of curious about that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. This is actually not the first time making this video. I had to do some editing. And I will see you guys all on Subscribestar and the various other platforms.